Hello and welcome to healthyhouseplants.com, where we teach you all about gardening in the great indoors. If you'd like to support our show, please use our Amazon affiliate link below. Today, I'm going to talk to you about one of my favorite houseplants. I have a lot of favorite houseplants. And this one is the Schefflera, commonly known as umbrella plant. I absolutely love this plant for a variety of reasons. One of the reasons I love it is it's really easy to grow indoors if you just keep a few things in mind, which we're going to cover, of course, in this plant care video. The other thing is it's beautiful. I love the umbrella-like foliage, and it also will grow in your home to be a nice big house plant. It makes a really good tall floor plant, I like to call them, for your home. So, and the great thing about the tall floor plants is they fill in corners really nicely. They can even be used for natural screens in between if you have a great room kind of an atmosphere or a one bedroom situation, but you want to partition it off a little bit naturally. These make a great option for that as well. So, and as mentioned, they are easy to grow. They're fairly fast growing. They're outdoors. They can also be grown outdoors in temperate areas. For instance, Southern California, they can be grown outdoors, but they are semi-tropical, so they can't be grown outdoors in most areas in North America, but they can be grown outdoors in some. So if it does get a little too big and you live in an area where you could do that, you can do that. Or screened in porches, areas that have a little bit more warmth during the winter months, it potentially can grow in those areas as well. Okay, so as mentioned, beautiful plant. I just love it, love the look of it. I have a series on pressing foliage and flowers from houseplants. This makes a really cool pressed foliar thing if you want to try that as well. Okay. So how to keep this plant healthy and happy so that you have really good times with your Schefflera for many years to come. So it is fairly easy to grow, as mentioned. However, there are a few things you do want to keep in mind. One of those is you don't want to overwater this guy. It will quickly get root rot. I have a playlist on what to do if you think your plant has root rot and how to potentially save it, so I'll put that link below. But in order to have a good luck with this plant, starting out from the beginning and not overwatering is a good thing. So let the top inch or so dry before you water this plant. And if it's a big plant, you probably want to go even down to about 2 inches before you water. And when you do water with warm water. You want to do that with all your house plants, warm to tepid water, okay? So moisture meter wise, you would want the moisture meter, the reading to be on the 4, approaching the 3. 4 is the last point of being moist, and then 3 is dry. So right in there is a good place to decide to water at that point. And as mentioned, that will keep the plant healthier in the long run. Okay, lighting. So this plant does best in high light. It does best in a bright location. It will grow stronger, healthier, more upright for you. So near a southern window, near an eastern window, they absolutely love the eastern window. This would be unobstructed windows where nothing is outside, like another building or a big tree that would obstruct the light coming in. But those are good windows for these plants. Western is a little too harsh and later in the day. You want the earlier in the day lighting. Keep in mind too, southern windows do tend to change the trajectory of the sun during different times of the year, so you may have to move the plant around a little bit. if you're trying to use a southern window. And they also absolutely love full spectrum lighting. So you want to look for full spectrum lighting that simulates daylight. That will work really well for these guys too. Now, if you have medium light, they will also do well in medium light. They won't grow as fast, but they will still do well in medium light. Low light, really low light is not going to work real well for these guys. So if you have low light situation, you're going to want to get some full spectrum lighting. As I mentioned in many of my videos, it's very easy to find full spectrum lighting now. It comes in light bulbs you can put in fixtures. There's certain light fixtures you can get with full spectrum lighting. The list goes on as to the opportunities there. Okay, so you've got the good lighting, you're not overwatering, these guys aren't heavy feeders, okay? So I would suggest feeding them every 3 to 4 months. Use an organic houseplant food. I do have a product, I'll put the link below. It's my Green Gourmet houseplant food. It's just something organic that is going to be gentle and give them a nice, a really nice fertilizing, but a gentle fertilizing. Worm compost, another great additive for these plants, okay? So every 3 to 4 months, the fertilizing. And don't fertilize in the winter, in your winter months. So wait till early spring and do your last fertilizing in late fall, late to mid fall. Okay, so the pruning. Okay, so these guys will tend to get, as I mentioned, they do get tall. So if you want to keep it bushy, you can prune back the plant. You would want to prune back to down to the stem there. I have a video on how to prune plants to keep them bushy. I'll put a link below for that as well. So what you don't want to do is cut here and then leave this long stem here. There's no growth hormones in this stem here, so you will just get a stem that will eventually die and fall off. It will fall off at the point where there are growth hormones, where the stem meets the trunk here, the part one of the trunks here, and at that point it will start growing, but you're going to waste months of when it could be bushing out for you. So that's something to keep in mind. Also, when you do prune back any houseplants, you don't want to prune back by more than 1/3 at a time. You're going to shock the plant if you do. If you do prune them back too hard, besides shocking them, you are going to be out of that 2/3 plant to 1/3 pot ratio that I always talk about. You will then have too little plant up top and you will have to repot. So best to err on the cautionary side when you are pruning Schefflera and any other house plant. So that is very important. So as mentioned, however, you may want to prune them occasionally to keep them bushier, maybe to keep one stem from growing a lot longer than the others, and that's perfectly okay when you do that. So they are pretty good about humidity. They do well when you've got, the minimum would be 45% humidity, and then they do well in higher humidity. They're very happy with that. So that is something to keep in mind as well. However, they will tolerate the lower humidity when necessary. As far as pests and diseases, they will occasionally get mealybugs. If you see something like spider mites, that's possible, but if you do have spider mites, you're probably keeping the plant a little too on the dry side, because spider mites like things very dry. So your humidity is probably a little too low and you may not be watering quite as much. So keep that in mind with that pest. But overall, they don't tend to attract that many pests, which is another reason why I just love these beautiful plants. So that is something else that you can keep in mind. When repotting, you want a soil that has some moisture retention, but also drains really well. So you do want something in the soil like perlite or pumice that will promote drainage, and I have a pumice product. Link will be below as well. So keeping that in mind, with that, any plant, especially any plant that is more susceptible to root rot than other plants, although all houseplants are if you're overwatering them, but the ones that are more susceptible, like the Schefflera, you definitely want to be using a draining agent in your soil. And that is it for how to grow this beautiful plant, Schefflera. Thank you for stopping by today. Please leave any comments about any indoor gardening tutorials you'd like to see. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, and share this video. And please check the bell if you'd like to be notified when new videos are released.